I think Web3 is a kind of it's a very broad term. So it could mean a lot of things in a lot of different people. To me, I think about Web3 as this, that imagine your existing daily life. Like the technology that we have today is good. Like I think that people are crazy when they say like, oh, we need to change everything. Like I'm talking to you on a laptop using using software. I interact with people all the time using amazing software. And the Web 3.0 future doesn't look different in this perspective, that nothing about my life and the way I interact with technology changes. But if you follow deep enough down the path of how the technology works, this is where the things will change.
For me, Web3 technology has at least two components. It's open source technology first, and it has a very strong element of the cypherpunk philosophy behind it. So the use of cryptographic mechanisms are needed in designs of Web3 technology.
Web3 is, I would say, to Web2 what open source software is to closed source software. The difference is that it's not about software anymore, it's about services. Web3 is about creating kind of open services. Web2 is all about building closed ecosystems. It's about having a single interest controlling a service, and regardless of whether or the degree to which that service's software happens to be open, the key thing is that the service or the platform is itself closed.
With Web 2, you completely trust certain parties. If you use the Google search engine, you completely trust them because you have no way of checking how the algorithm works, how your data is filtered, what they leverage and whatnot. If you use Facebook, you completely need to trust Facebook because they are managing your data and you have no way to check this. And with Web3, you actually have a way to look into it, or if you don't understand code yourself, you have the option to talk to others and see what's their opinion, and other parties can actually check the back end, the code behind it, without being part of the company itself.
So Web3, I think it's breaking the monopoly that the big conglomerates has built up on Web 2. I think that's the biggest thing we need to look forward to. It's about normal people being able to take back control of the web. The reality is just in the Web 2 world, for better or for worse, we're allowed certain people to become exceptionally big and to have all the information about all of us. And it's not one of them, there's a couple of them. And, and what we're saying is we want to sort of take back some of this. We want to turn it into real decentralized again, and we want to take back the almost the power as the people.
The implications for the real world is the protection of the privacy of users and the dissolution of the authoritarian element of central authorities, not only governments, but also organizations or companies that can force us to do things that we don't want to do when we use the tech.
Being able to have your own identity in your devices, being able to own your data and communicate openly without any fear, and not seeing that your data has been stolen or sold by someone else, and all these things.
I mean, jokingly, there was another idea of what Web3 should be, and that was the semantic web, where web has meaning. But we're probably talking about crypto Web3, where it's like the web of value, right? Where you can store real value, not just PayPal, right? Store value in your apps that are connected to the web.
Currently, to pay for a service, you need to, like, for example, get a merchant account from Stripe or from bank. It's quite a process for merchants to do that, and it's quite expensive as well. But with Web3, then the payments will be much easier. We can just pay to them directly without any intermediates. So they will be more efficient and they will be faster. So that will change a lot of landscape. And with all different sort of protocols being open and the payments being connected, then we definitely will see a lot of interesting applications being created.
Yeah, I think the people against Web3 are the traditional Web2 companies that are going to get hurt by these changes, right? Like you can see that in the blockchain space that the finance people have for a long time held a very negative view of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies, because they know that once the power of finance goes to these blockchain systems, that they lose a lot of the power which they have, right? A lot of these intermediate third parties which handle these middle ground, interactions will also be, challenged by these decentralized systems, and as a result, I think they'll be antagonists to it. I think another set of antagonists are people who just don't understand technology, right? That people who take for granted kind of how much technology has evolved and how these cryptographic systems work, and they don't quite understand how it works, and it's much more clear to them to kind of have, okay, well, there's this company, Google or Amazon or Microsoft, and they control these systems, and I trust them, and therefore things are okay. Versus saying things like, okay, well, there's this Bitcoin blockchain and no one owns it, and there's no country around it, and all that stuff. Like these people they're hesitant to, I think, put the trust into these systems because they don't have the technological understanding of what's happening in the background.
Antagonists are any organization that makes a profit out of the use of data of its users.
Everyone who benefits from the current system, which are the people that have the power. So right now we have the situation that the Web3 is, from a user perspective, from the interface side, it's very difficult to use. And I open websites, and you need to go to an exchange. You need some way of money or some tokens to interact with something, which is really painful. But I think we will figure out solutions for this.
I don't see any particular antagonist on the Web3 side. I don't think we're really at the point where we're not big enough to be fighting particular platforms. I mean, you obviously see some of the Silicon Valley types, go big or go home bullshit, sort of saying, oh, well, we're taking on Google or whatever. But honestly, we're not taking on Google yet. At this point, we're firmly in the experimentation. We're firmly in the prototyping and proof of concept stage. Even the biggest, arguably most expansive, successful experiment in this regard, which is, I think, Bitcoin, can't really sort of claim it's anything else, is still not used in any real way for any of the kind of sort of as a solution for anything. That doesn't make me pessimistic or anything. I still think that this is an absolutely breakthrough piece of technology, but it just means that it takes a while for people to understand the initial and most important use case, and it takes a while, even longer, to develop something that captures the imagination of the masses.